Hey guys, I'm Jackie Brubaker, host of the Love You Even More podcast. I'm an author, performer, producer, and Emmy Award winner. Each week, I bring on inspiring people and experts in their field to have powerful, motivational, and enlightened conversations about relationships, self-development, and how you can love yourself even more. Follow us for daily updates at Love You Even More podcast and at Jackie Brubaker on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. For more on myself and the podcast, including ways that you can love yourself even more, go to loveyouevenmore.com. Welcome, Irena, to the Love You Even More podcast. Irena is a dating coach, and she's going to talk about the confusion that we are all feeling when we're trying to get into the dating world, whether you're a guy or a girl, a woman or a man, or you don't identify, but you're wanting to date. It is confusing out there, and she is going to help make it a little bit more understandable for all of us in getting into a relationship long-term that we actually want to be in, instead of just telling another horrible dating story. So Irena, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little bit so that everyone can get to know you and what you do.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for having me on your podcast. So I'm Irena Polyakova. I am originally from Ukraine, and I am a super passionate dating coach. And I pride myself in having gone through many personal relationship challenges myself, however, turning them into amazing learning experiences and then getting plenty of wisdom and education to actually be able to provide the tools to deconstruct that confusion that you mentioned earlier. And I am extremely passionate in helping people connect and find love, because I think there's too many people that are lonely and many suffer quietly, possibly even not wanting to admit they're suffering quietly. So this is where I come in with all my passion, all my enthusiasm about it, to get people out of the comfort zone, get them dating skills, and out into the love quest.
Absolutely. There's a lot of that happening right now. And when we were just talking earlier, so much of getting into the dating world has to do with the work that we're doing on ourselves first, because otherwise you're just flailing yourself out there, all kinds of wounded and broken. And you're just like, somebody love me for me, which we want someone to love us for us. But if we don't do the work on ourselves, we're not going to attract the right partner. So let's talk a little bit about how people can actually get themselves in a good spot to actually begin to start dating. And let's focus on men first.
This is really, really crucial aspect, and I am really grateful that you are actually bringing this up as far as the self-improvement and work on ourselves, because yes, we will attract the same or similar partner, repeating the same pattern that we have had before. So if we do the same thing, we stay relatively the same, but we expect different results. I think we kind of know what the definition of that is. So working on yourself and being yourself is kind of two sides of the same concept. And this is what I often hear or read on social media, is when people say, oh, just be yourself and, expect that somebody will come to you. But what if being yourself as you are right now can use a little bit improvement?
Yeah.
Nothing in nature that stays static. Nothing. We have seasons, we have days and nights, right? We have moon, we have tides in the ocean. So it's just the way the universe functions, so do we as humans. And sticking to this statement that, oh, I'm just going to be myself, probably will not bring sustainable results. Yes, there is a possibility you will meet somebody and you may click, but once those butterflies fade away, when the work is actually needed and the effort has to put in, what do you do then? And then people that do not make any improvements on themselves, do not reflect, do not understand why things happen in the past, they take the same coping mechanism, the same survival mechanism, the same patterns, and they apply them in a new connection. Mm-hmm. And the result is either miserable, staying in a relationship out of fear to leave, or will leave and heartbroken again and blaming somebody instead of turning it around, to yourself and see, okay, where can we change? Where can I change myself to attract a different outcome?
Right. There's so much blaming happening on both sides. People are just like, he's a narcissist or she's a bitch. I mean, they're really just like, oh, it can't be me. It has to be them. And there's so much of that happening. But like you said, if it keeps happening and you keep kind of running into the same issues, you might be choosing poorly, but why are you choosing poorly? And it always comes back down to us. So, with your male clients, what are they struggling with the most on their own self? Well, I was going to say self worth, but self work that they need to do. What are some crucial things that men can focus on themselves just before they start dating?
So when I started working with men or women, I work in majority times I do actually work with men, and I always, before I actually sign the agreement with a client, I always presented the way I coach, and the way I coach is I have three important steps. The first step is identifying what it is that is the problem at the moment, what they think is the problem, and then I look from kind of outside in at the patterns. We identify the patterns of the past connections and why it's not happening. You find in love, forming that love and connection. And once we identify the challenges, then we move on to the second level, which is examining the mindset and the belief system. And this is probably the most crucial element of it, because belief system is something that we very, very rarely even get the concept of re-evaluating. Like when we have an iPhone or some kind of phone, right, or some kind of gadget, and there is a pop-up that, oh, update your software. What do? We update the software for the efficiency of it because we don't want any glitches, right? We don't want those glitches. However, when it comes to being like in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, and if you're using the same belief systems that you had brought from your childhood and you have never re-evaluated it, you have never really sit down, okay, I believe this. Why do I believe this? Does it still benefit me as a person, as an individual, and me in relationship, in love, in a society as a whole, or it does not? We don't do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just keep employing the same beliefs. And typically, very often, these beliefs are either self-limiting or there is a tendency to blame, because it's a little bit easier to point your finger at somebody else instead of doing the internal work, because it's much harder. It also requires you admitting that you need to change something within yourself, right?
Yeah.
So that's the second important level, the reworking the mindset, making sure that you approach this quest for love, finding love, forming a love and connection relationship with the mindset of abundance, with the mindset that you as an individual responsible for whatever it is you bring to the table, that you need to have standards, you need to have preferences, and you need to communicate them properly. And only after that, only after the mindset is re-examined, re-evaluated, and reworked to the state where it's positive, and then we go into the skills. So that's when, after that, I give men skills and techniques, and it goes anywhere between how to create your online dating profile, make sure you stand out of the crowd, how to text, how to compliment a woman, how to read the body language, how to resolve a conflict, how women function. Since I have the secret insights, I can share that with men, a little bit about psychology of a woman. And with all those skills, this whole package, then they're ready to go in and hopefully find love. And so far, I've gotten plenty of positive feedback, so I'm super happy.
That's awesome. So, okay, I have a question because I have encountered this with certain men that I have dated throughout the years where they have lines that they use, or they wear certain colognes, or they dress a certain way. And then one day that all just kind of falls off the face of the earth and suddenly they are their true selves. How are you approaching this with men so that they can still be themselves, but the best versions of themselves? Because there's just a lot of bad information out there teaching men, especially like how to get a woman. And I know you know what I'm talking about, just terrible books written by men for men to like basically like manipulate. How is yours different and more authentic?
Well, first of all, I will never take on a client to help if they are not looking for love and committed relationship. So I'm not providing tricks. I'm not teaching pickup lines. What I'm teaching is first the importance of self evolution, self development, ongoing for the rest of your life. And secondly is the fact that acquiring skill is admirable. Confidence and competence comes from building this skill. So when you go into a dating world equipped with skills, you automatically you feel more competent, you feel more confident, you project a different energy, because we women are attracted to confidence. This is our number one aphrodisiac, not the 3 6s or whatever it is that's on social media going on with the 6-pack and the 6 feet. So all that nice and dandy, but at the end of the day, we women, we are attracted to confidence, where we feel we can trust a man, where we can just kind of melt into man's arms and feel this awesome sensation of, oh, I can just relax. Isn't it awesome, right? So this is what I teach them. And when somebody comes to me and they just want quick pickup lines and quick techniques, I don't do that, because this is not long-term. This is not sustainable. And it's just my own personal choice. And I take a very high pride in the fact that I will turn away if somebody just wants a quick hookup. And I don't even call it as an approaching women to just to hook up or to get. I don't even use the word to get a woman, because it's not really, we're humans. We can go get some groceries. We can go get ice cream, right? But not necessarily another human being, let's say like opposite gender or whatever gender you're attracted to. So the difference in what I do is, first of all, I feel extremely emotional when I help men, and I can share the reason behind it. But I feel like I can empower them with almost the tools and the skills that they may not get anywhere else. So
awesome.
I approach it not from the place, oh, you are somehow inadequate, let me teach you to be better, from the place you are good enough as you are now. However, if you embrace the possibility of improving, you just set yourself on a different path, and you open so many more doors of opportunities when it comes to love and connections with women.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the key right there. And that takes some humility on the man's part too, to be open to be like, okay, I guess I do need some help. So when it comes to women and trying to get ready to go back in the dating world, a lot of women have been hurt. A lot of women are like, I don't want to do this. And a lot of women are like, I've been hurt, but I still want to find someone. So where and how do you work with them? What are some of the techniques that you use that someone listening today could actually try?
Well, first of all, one of the most important steps in here is accepting your current relationship status, whatever that is. So if you happen to be single and with the broken heart, this is where, again, our self-improvement and self-work comes in, right? Is that be okay with who you are. Once again, coming back to the concept that nothing is really static, and we evolve and we change literally momentarily, well, from one moment to another. So accepting that, okay, I'm single, I might be feeling lonely, I am heartbroken, but this is not, it's not going to last. So you allow that to kind of pass through it. And if I'm coaching somebody, we'll work through that, because I do life coaching as well. So this aspect is more of a self-improvement, self-work. The person has to heal. The person has to go in with the right mindset, whether a woman or a man, because what will happen if there is no healing that had taken place, it's going to end up being a relationship band-aid or trauma bond, as I call it, right? Instead of actually getting in a relationship to thrive, we get into a relationship with the broken heart, hoping somebody will just feel this void for us. Fill this
Yes.
gap, please. Like you said, please love me, please, make me feel good about myself.
Mhm.
But it does not come from somebody else, because it's extremely risky matter to give somebody else such a huge power to validate you when it should be going the other way around. And there's plenty of techniques to work on setting the boundaries, dealing with self-worth. And many people have, I think most of us have insecurities, not even many. We all have certain challenges that we need to address emotionally to a certain extent. So addressing those, firstly, most importantly, and then from that point on, moving on to the possibility of inviting another person into your space, your emotional, your mental, and your physical space. But you have to create a welcoming space.
Right.
Instead of trying to grab somebody, pull it in, you open it up for the right person with the right energy radiating out of you.
I think this is so magical. So I'm just going to ask a little bit into first getting into the dating world after you've done all this lovely work. It can still be a little scary. You're putting your best foot forward. You've done all this work. You're like, I'm ready. And then, maybe something happens and it could scare someone off, like, oh no, maybe I wasn't ready. How do you work with people to handle that so that they can keep at it? Because it is hard with the dating apps and trying to meet people. I mean, it feels like a numbers game. I personally don't think it's a numbers game, but that's just my personal opinion. I do think the person that's right for you will show up no matter what. But if someone is like, okay, I've done the work and I'm ready to get back out there, but maybe they have like a little hiccup, what what would you advise them to do?
Well, the simple answer would be keep trying, because if we all just quit, with the first or the second hiccup, it would be really tough world out there. So going out, back out, and to keep doing it, it's a bit of different when it comes to women and men. For men, for instance, I can share that, at least from my coaching experience and my own dating experience, as a matter of fact, it's men, one of the biggest challenges for them is to overcome that rejection, to come up to a woman that they happen to like from the distance. And most of the times guys don't do that, and majority of them don't do it. And then I always explain, like, listen, the pain of the rejection is much less in comparison to the pain of regret. You're going to be going home thinking, oh my God, I should have said something to her. I should have said hi. I should have at least smiled. What if she was the one? She could have been the one, right? But that fear and anxiety over the rejection can be extremely overpowering. So what I do with men, for instance, in this case, is I call it building social muscles. And they have tasks throughout the week between the sessions. For instance, they have a task to get rejected at least 3-4 times.
I love this. That's
I know when I say that, they go, what?
no, I think this is great.
Listen me out. So, because as soon as you do that, once I deconstruct and explain, you take the power away from that fear. Fear is an extremely, extremely intense emotion, okay? And if we operate from the place of fear, we're giving it the power. However, if you're seeking out any person to talk to get rejected, you automatically remove that fear, because your goal is different now. And another aspect of it is you detach from the outcome. I have on my website, I have an ebook, the free ebook that people download quite often, guys download quite often, and it's about overcoming this fear of rejection. So building your social muscles means you talk to everybody, whether it's just a hi, you talk to the person at the register in the grocery store, you talk to the mailman, you talk to somebody who stands in line in coffee shop and you're buying coffee, right? And as you build up the social confidence, when the right person comes about and you like her, and I know you get this feeling inside of your stomach, is like, ooh, should I not? But because you have those built up social confidence and social muscles, you go in and you do it. And because you've gotten rejected on a regular basis and you survived, the world is still spinning, right? You didn't die. So you're like, okay, I'm going in, I'm doing it. So there's plenty of techniques. They're actually not complicated at all. goal, and the key is the consistency and, of course, to keep doing it.
Oh, I think that's brilliant. I think that's so usable for so many different things too. It's just keep doing it, you know? I love this. Let me have you say one last bit of advice that you think everybody needs to hear about dating right now that is just something important to you that they should know.
Something very, very important that I would love to relate to everybody is don't give up on love. There's so many messages when I read social media and I read the comments of people commenting on something related to love and relationship. The majority of them state that, oh, I would rather just be single. I don't want drama. It's too hard. It's whatever it is. I don't understand how to do it. Whatever the reason is, people simply start giving up, right? And it's heartbreaking because there are people. We have 8 billion people in this world right now. Okay, there's plenty out there to date, but you need the tools and you need the support and the confidence to go in and to do it, and it's doable and it's possible. Okay, so not giving up on love is something extremely, extremely important, because as you get older, maybe when you're in your 20s and your 30s and you go out with friends and it doesn't feel too bad, you're occupied. But when you start hitting 40s and 50s and 60s, that's a different story. It gets very lonely and it gets harder with years.
It does.
So
people get stuck in their ways.
yes, it gets even harder as we get older, but understanding that dating skills, essentially like any skills, like you can make it work to your benefit. Online dating can work for you. Social life, you need to set it up the way that it actually serves your love life. And as you said, you don't think it's numbers game. I don't think dating is a game, but it is in a sense a numbers games. And what I mean by that is, yes, there is a huge hope and possibility that the right person will just come around. However, you can help the fate, and you can put yourself on that path of luck where there's going to be just simply more opportunities for you to meet the right person.
Yes, absolutely. I think, when I think about the numbers game, I think about I'll go on 10 dates a week this week. And that just exhausts me even thinking about that. But putting yourself in the right situations socially or even online to meet people and just be like, I really love the idea that you just said of like doing your social life in a way that you would want to meet someone. Like you both paddleboard, like that's a thing. And that's how you met. And that's great because now instant hobby together. So finding like-minded people already naturally in the world is great.
And it's shared experience is something that really allows to build a bond and to create a connection. So that's wonderful. However, I do push people to get out of the comfort zone. And I tell guys that you probably gonna have to take some yoga classes and some classes.
I knew you were gonna say
and they're like, oh God, no. I'm like, let's do the math. When you go to some board game and there is 15 guys and 3 girls, what are your chances? When you go to dance class, doesn't matter how well you dance.
Yeah.
There's 40 girls and 2 guys.
Yeah.
Math. And I take dance classes every week, 3 times per week. And we have 2 guys and we have 45 girls.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So I know the numbers. And this is what I mean by setting up your social lives, that it serves your love life. It should be the priority. Unfortunately, I think in society it is set up kind of that men prioritize the career and work over love life, and it's amazing. But then when they're in their 40s and 50s, they've got the career, but love life has been kind of neglected.
Yeah, and it happens a lot. So it's hard to kind of start from scratch in your 40s of like, okay, let's learn how to date now. So I think there's just so much gold in this conversation. Tell people how they can find you. You can also find all of her links in the show notes, but just if you're listening on your run or your walk or in the car right now, tell people how they can find you.
So I have a website, and I think it's pretty easy to remember. My website is lovedandfulfilled.com. And I love the domain name just because I feel that every single person deserves to be loved, deserves to be fulfilled, and it is attainable. It is totally possible. So lovedandfulfilled.com is my website, and that's where you can connect. I also offer a free 1-hour consultation for anybody who is potentially interested in to figure out what the coaching is all about and how it can benefit their life, because we need to invest effort, money, and time into something so crucial as finding love. Love is not going to just fall into your lap. So maybe investing less into how shiny your car is, but a little bit more into how shiny your soul is, could be a game changer.
Thank you so much for being on. This was such a pleasure. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Remember, sharing is caring. Make sure to rate the podcast and leave a review. We really rely on this to help get the podcast out there.